I heard the microphone screech before I heard him say the words that would end everything. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. White roses, 200 guests, my father crying in the front row. But standing at that altar in downtown Chicago, watching my fiancé Derek pull a folded paper from his jacket pocket instead of his vows, I knew something had gone terribly, horribly wrong. What he did next didn't just end our wedding. It tried to end me. But here's the thing about being publicly destroyed, it teaches you exactly how to rebuild yourself into something unbreakable. My name is Audrey, and 6 months before that altar, I thought I had it all figured out. Derek Mitchell was everything on paper. Investment banker. Ivy League degree. A smile that could sell ice to Eskimos, as my mother loved to say. We met at a charity gala in Lincoln Park, one of those glittering Chicago nights where the skyline looks like a promise and champagne tastes like possibility. He pursued me hard. Flowers at my office every Friday. Weekend trips to his family's lake house in Wisconsin. He told me I was different from other women he'd dated, smarter, more grounded, someone he could build a real life with. I was a senior marketing director at a mid-sized tech firm. I'd worked my way up from an intern position, paid off my student loans, bought my own condo in Wicker Park. I wasn't looking for someone to save me. I was looking for a partner. Derek seemed like that partner. His family was old money, the kind that came with a sprawling estate in Winnetka and a mother who wore pearls to breakfast. My family was comfortable but nowhere near that stratosphere. My dad owned a plumbing supply company. My mom taught elementary school for 30 years before retiring. But Derek always said he loved that about me. That I was real. That I understood the value of hard work. If this hits home, tell me where you're watching from. Sometimes the worst betrayals start with the sweetest words. The first crack appeared 3 months before the wedding. We were at his parents' house for Sunday brunch. His mother, Catherine, had this way of smiling while delivering insults, a talent passed down through generations of country club memberships and junior league presidencies. "Audrey, darling," she said, pouring herself more mimosa, "have you given any thought to a pre-wedding diet? The dress needs to photograph well, and camera adds 10 pounds, you know." I was a size 6. Healthy. Happy with my body. Derek laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A real one. "Mom's just trying to help," he said later when I brought it up in the car. "You're being sensitive." I should have left then. But I'd already sent the invitations. Already put the deposit down on the venue, the Chicago Botanic Gardens, a place I'd dreamed about since I was a little girl, pressing my face against the car window every time we drove past. I told myself it was just wedding stress. That every couple goes through rough patches. The second crack came when I found the text messages. His phone buzzed one night while he was in the shower. I glanced at it, something I'd never done before, and saw a name I didn't recognize. Melissa. "Can't wait for tomorrow night. Wear the red dress I like." My hands shook as I scrolled up. Weeks of messages. Dinner plans. Inside jokes. A photo of her in what was definitely lingerie, captioned "Missing you." When Derek came out, towel around his waist, I was sitting on the edge of the bed with his phone in my hand. "Who's Melissa?" The color drained from his face. Then, like a switch flipped, he smiled. "She's a colleague. A work friend. You're reading into things that aren't there, Audrey. This is exactly the kind of insecurity I'm talking about." He turned it around so smoothly I almost believed him. He made me feel crazy for questioning him. Made me apologize for invading his privacy. That's what narcissists do. They rewrite reality until you can't trust your own eyes. The morning of the wedding, I woke up in my childhood bedroom. Tradition said the bride and groom shouldn't see each other the night before. My bridesmaids had stayed over, my sister Emma, my best friend since college Rachel, and 2 cousins. We'd drunk wine, painted our nails, laughed about how perfect the day would be. But lying there in the pink light of dawn, staring at my wedding dress hanging on the back of the door, I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I tried calling Derek. It went to voicemail. Hey, it's me. I know we're not supposed to talk today, but I love you. I'll see you at the altar. My mother knocked softly, came in with coffee and tears in her eyes. My baby girl, she whispered, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. Your father's been crying all morning. We're so proud of you, Audrey. The guilt twisted deeper. What if I was wrong about Melissa? What if I was sabotaging the best thing that ever happened to me because I was scared of happiness? The Chicago Botanic Gardens were perfect. Late September, the leaves just starting to turn gold and crimson. White chairs arranged in neat rows facing an arch dripping with roses and greenery. A string quartet playing pachelbel. 200 guests in their finest, including Derek's entire extended family, his colleagues, his fraternity brothers. My father walked me down the aisle, his hand shaking on my arm. I saw Derek standing at the altar in his tailored tuxedo, and for just a moment everything felt right. He was smiling. The sun was shining. The flowers smelled like heaven. Then I got close enough to see his eyes. They were cold. Empty. Like looking into a frozen lake. The officiant began. We went through the readings, the blessings, the part where he asks if anyone objects. Silence, except for the rustling of leaves in the wind. Then came the vows. Derek, the officiant said, your vows to Audrey. Derek reached into his jacket pocket. But instead of pulling out the folded paper I'd seen him writing at the kitchen table last week, he pulled out something else. A different paper. Crisp. Typed. And then he smiled at the crowd. Tap like so this story reaches someone who needs it. You won't believe what happens next. Actually, Derek said into the microphone the officiant was holding, his voice carrying across the garden, I have something different to share today. My stomach dropped. I want to thank everyone for coming, he continued, that banker's charm oozing from every word. Especially for supporting Audrey through what I imagine has been a difficult few months. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. You see, I've learned some troubling things about my bride-to-be. Things I think you all deserve to know before I make the biggest mistake of my life. My sister Emma stood up from her seat in the front row. Derek, what are you doing? He ignored her. Audrey has been unfaithful to me. Multiple times. With multiple men, including my own brother. The crowd gasped. My knees buckled. I have proof, he continued, waving the paper. Text messages. Photos. She's been lying to all of us. Playing the victim while destroying our family from the inside. It wasn't true. None of it was true. His brother James, a kind, married man with 3 kids, shot to his feet, his face purple with rage. That's a lie. Derek, what the hell are you doing? But Derek kept going, reading fabricated messages, twisting innocent conversations I'd had with James about wedding planning into something sick and twisted. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. The weight of 200 pairs of eyes pressed down on me like concrete. My mother was crying. My father looked like he might have a heart attack. My bridesmaids were shouting, but their voices sounded far away, like I was underwater. Derek turned to me, still smiling that empty smile. I wanted to marry you, Audrey. I really did. But I can't build a life with someone who has so little integrity. Consider this your public service announcement. Everyone here now knows exactly who you are. He handed the microphone back to the stunned officiant, walked down the aisle, and got into the limousine we were supposed to leave in together. And he drove away. I don't remember much about the next hour. Emma and Rachel got me inside the garden's event hall. Someone took off my veil. Someone else brought me water I couldn't drink. My father was on the phone with someone, his voice shaking with fury. The guests were leaving, some shooting me pitying looks, others whispering behind their hands. Derek's family had vanished like smoke. My phone started buzzing. Social media was exploding. Someone had filmed the whole thing and posted it online. By that evening, I was a trending topic in Chicago. Humiliated bride. Wedding day disaster. Cheating caught at altar. Except I hadn't cheated. And now the entire city thought I had. Comment if you've ever felt this kind of betrayal. The isolation was worse than the humiliation. I spent 3 days in my childhood bedroom, curtains drawn, phone off. My mother brought me soup I didn't eat. Emma slept on the floor beside my bed like we were kids again. On the 4th day, Rachel came in with her laptop. Audrey, she said quietly. I found something. She showed me Melissa's Instagram. The woman from Derek's text messages. She'd posted a photo from the day after the wedding, a photo of her and Derek on a beach in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, where we were supposed to be on our honeymoon. The caption, finally official with my love. Thanks for the free vacation, babe. In the comments, Derek had written, best decision I ever made. She was just a placeholder until I was ready for the real thing. That's when the fog lifted. This wasn't about me cheating. I'd never cheated. Derek had fabricated the entire story to justify leaving me at the altar, a move he'd planned all along with Melissa. A move designed not just to end the relationship, but to destroy my reputation so thoroughly that no one would question his version of events. He'd used our wedding, the most vulnerable moment of my life, as a stage for my public execution. And he'd done it because he could. Because he thought I was powerless. He was wrong. I didn't cry after that. Something harder and colder had replaced the tears. I called James, Derek's brother. He agreed to meet me at a coffee shop in Evanston, away from prying eyes. I'm so sorry, Audrey, he said immediately, his face haggard. What he did was monstrous. I've already told our parents I'm done with him. My wife is furious. The whole family is fractured. Did you know he was planning this? I asked. James shook his head. No. But I'm not surprised. Derek's been different lately. More reckless. He made some bad investments at work. Lost a lot of money. Started acting paranoid. Paranoid about what? I don't know exactly. But I heard him on the phone once, talking about needing to reset everything before someone found out. I thought he meant his portfolio. A puzzle piece clicked into place. I contacted a lawyer the next day. Not a divorce lawyer, we'd never actually gotten married. A defamation attorney named Patricia Chen, a sharp woman in her 50s who'd built a career on protecting people from exactly this kind of character assassination. "Do you have proof you didn't cheat?" she asked. I was never alone with James except at family gatherings with witnesses. My phone records will show I never texted Derek's brother inappropriately. And I can prove I was at work or with friends during the times Derek claims I was with other men. Patricia smiled. "Good. Now tell me, do you want to just clear your name, or do you want to find out why he really did this?" "Both," I said. She hired a private investigator. It took 2 weeks for the investigator to piece it together, but when he did, the picture was damning. Derek hadn't just lost money on bad investments. He'd been embezzling from his clients, high-net-worth individuals who trusted him with their retirement funds. He'd moved money into offshore accounts, made unauthorized trades, falsified documents. The SEC was investigating him. His firm was preparing to fire him. Criminal charges were likely. He needed a distraction. A big one. And what's more distracting than a public humiliation at a society wedding? What generates more sympathy than a heartbroken groom who discovered his bride was a cheat? While everyone was focused on me, Derek was moving assets, preparing to flee the country with Melissa. The Mexico trip wasn't just a vacation, it was a test run. But here's what he didn't know: his brother James, despite being estranged, still had access to the family trust documents. And when I explained what Derek had done, James handed them over. Derek had taken money from the family trust too. Money that belonged to his nieces and nephews. Money set aside for education and emergencies. Patricia compiled everything into a file so airtight even Derek's expensive lawyers couldn't slip through the cracks. Subscribe for more stories like this one. Justice was about to be served ice cold. We held a press conference. Patricia set it up at a downtown Chicago hotel, invited every media outlet that had run the original humiliation story. I wore a navy suit, professional, calm, unbreakable. My hands shook when I stepped up to the microphone, but my voice didn't. "My name is Audrey Thompson," I began. 3 weeks ago, I was publicly accused of infidelity at my own wedding. The video went viral. I became a punchline, a cautionary tale, a trending topic. I'm here today to set the record straight. I never cheated on Derek Mitchell. Not once. Not ever. The accusations he made were fabricated, part of a calculated plan to destroy my reputation while he covered up his own crimes. I presented the evidence, one piece at a time. Phone records. Witness statements. Financial documents showing Derek's embezzlement. Screenshots of his messages with Melissa planning the whole thing. "Derek Mitchell used our wedding as a weapon," I said, looking directly into the cameras. "He tried to break me in front of everyone I loved because he thought it would save him. He was wrong." The questions came fast after that, but Patricia fielded most of them. I just stood there, solid, while the narrative shifted beneath our feet. By that evening, Derek's face was plastered across every news outlet, not as the heartbroken groom, but as the criminal he was. The SEC accelerated their investigation. His firm fired him publicly. His family cut him off completely. And Melissa? She disappeared the moment she realized she'd tied herself to a sinking ship. Derek called me 2 days later. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to it on speaker with Patricia and Emma beside me. "Audrey, please. I'm begging you. Call off your lawyer. This has gone too far. I made a mistake, okay? I was scared. I'll make a public apology. I'll tell everyone you didn't cheat. Just please, please don't let them destroy my life. Emma looked at me, waiting. I called him back. Put it on speaker. Patricia nodded her approval. Derek, I said when he answered. You stood in front of 200 people and called me a liar and a cheat. You fabricated evidence to destroy my reputation. You stole money from your own family. And now you're begging me for mercy? I know, he said, and he was crying. Actually crying. I know I don't deserve it. But I'm facing prison, Audrey. Real prison. My life is over. No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Your life isn't over. You still have your health. Your education. Your privilege. What's over is your ability to hurt people without consequences. Please. I'm not the one sending you to prison, Derek. Your choices did that. All I did was tell the truth. I hung up. Patricia squeezed my hand. Well done. The next 6 months were strange. Derek pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. He got 4 years in federal prison and had to pay restitution to his clients and his family. His career was over. His reputation was ash. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. But I also felt free. My name was cleared. The viral videos were replaced with articles about my courage. Companies reached out with job offers. I even got a book deal to tell my story. My condo in Wicker Park became my sanctuary again. I painted the walls, bought new furniture, filled it with plants and light. Emma came over every Sunday for dinner. Rachel and I started taking weekend trips, Nashville, Portland, Santa Fe. I went to therapy. A good therapist who helped me understand that Derek's actions were never about me. That his cruelty was a reflection of his own emptiness, not my worth. I learned to trust myself again. To trust my instincts. To never again silence the voice that tells me something is wrong. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself from scratch, let me know in the comments. You're stronger than you think. Exactly 1 year after that altar, I went back to the Chicago Botanic Gardens. Not for a wedding. Just for me. I walked through the same paths, past the same flower beds, to the same spot where I'd stood in my wedding dress while my world collapsed. The leaves were turning gold again. The air smelled like autumn and possibility. I thought about the girl I'd been a year ago, so desperate to be chosen, so willing to ignore red flags, so terrified of being alone that she'd nearly married a monster. I didn't recognize her anymore. The woman I'd become was harder, yes. But also wiser. More grounded. Unshakable. I'd learned that being destroyed in public can be a strange gift. It strips away everything false, everything performative, everything you thought you needed to be happy. And what's left, if you're brave enough to look, is just you. Raw and real and absolutely enough. Here's what I want you to know if you're going through something like this. The people who try to break you publicly are always running from something. They're terrified their own darkness will be exposed, so they shine a spotlight on you instead. They make you the villain of a story they've been writing in secret. But here's the thing about truth, it doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need a stage or an audience or a viral video. It just needs time. And courage. And one person willing to stand up and say, no. That's not how this happened. Derek tried to end me at that altar. He tried to take my reputation, my dignity, my future. But he forgot something important. He forgot that I wasn't the girl who needed saving. I was the woman who'd been saving herself all along. And when you try to destroy someone like that, when you humiliate them in front of everyone they love, you don't break them. You forge them into something unbreakable. If this story resonated with you, please share it. You never know who needs to hear that they can survive the unsurvivable. I still think about Derek sometimes. Not with anger anymore. Mostly with pity. He's in prison, but even when he gets out, he'll be carrying the weight of what he did for the rest of his life. He destroyed relationships with everyone who ever loved him. He burned every bridge for a woman who left the moment things got hard. That's the real consequence of cruelty, not the legal penalties, but the loneliness. The knowledge that you had love and you weaponized it. I could have become bitter. Could have sworn off love, decided all men were like Derek, built walls so high no one could ever hurt me again. But that would have been letting him win. Instead, I chose something harder. I chose to stay soft where it mattered. To keep my heart open, even if it meant risking pain. To believe that Derek was the exception, not the rule. Last month, I went on a date with a guy I met at a bookstore. A teacher. Kind eyes. No Ivy League pedigree, no trust fund, no limousine. Just someone who laughed at my jokes and asked thoughtful questions and walked me to my car without expecting anything in return. I don't know if it'll go anywhere. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I'm open to it. And that openness, after everything, feels like the real victory. So if you're watching this from a place of pain, if someone has tried to humiliate you, break you, destroy your reputation, listen to me. You are not what they said about you. You are not the story they told. You are whoever you choose to become after the dust settles. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's rebuilding yourself into someone so whole, so content, so genuinely happy that their opinion of you becomes irrelevant. Derek tried to end me at that altar. Instead, he gave me a beginning. My name is Audrey. And I'm just getting started. If this story helped you, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you're stronger than whatever tried to break you. I promise.